Some of the newer features in Access for Office are subtle, and if you're not in the right view or you don't click on a specific option, you might not even know that they're there. One enhancement, though, is very obvious because it's the core of our work in the design of forms and reports. It's really not difficult. In fact, the functionality is the same, but it looks very different. What is new is that the generic Add Field pane is gone and has been replaced by the Data Type Gallery. So let's look at that for just a few seconds. I have my contact form open. It was open from the work I did earlier, but I want to change to Design View, so I'll move to the upper left, use my View drop-down, and change to Design View. This gives me easy access and easy view to what I'm talking about. Right here in the center is a group called Controls. It is part of the Form Design Tools. For Form Design Tools, there are 3 tabs: Design, Arrange, and Format. On the Design tab, and it would be exactly the same thing in a report, the Controls group is where you'll see all of the different types of controls you can use. If I click on the drop-down, we can see that there are actually several of them, multiple lines, but it's more of this gallery view, the kind of view that we're used to seeing from Office 2007. I guess that's why they've added it to Access. The gallery makes it more like all the other Office applications that now use galleries, so our experience is more consistent across the applications. Finally, in For Office, Access gets a gallery too, and it's a very visual way to add controls. When I expand it, I can see all of them, and at the bottom there are options for setting control defaults. You can still use the Control Wizard if you want some help, for example in creating command buttons, and there is a place where you can insert ActiveX controls. So let's do a couple of things with this, just so you can see how it works, even though the functionality is basically the same. I'll press Escape to get out of the gallery, and I'll move down here and delete my Student ID field. I'll select it, press the Delete key, and of course it takes the bound field as well as the label along with it. Alright, so now what do I need to do? Well, if I simply go up and choose to insert a field, then I'll have a problem because it will be an unbound field. So instead, I need to move to the right. Choose to display the Add Existing Fields panel, and now I can get to work. Let me go ahead and say that I do indeed want to insert a text box. I'll give that a click, and then I'll move over to Student ID. And just like the good old days, I can simply drag it over. You will notice that as I work now, though, I get a much easier representation. I get a whole shaded box. When my eyes get tired, this makes it much easier to see exactly where things will be placed on the grid of the design view of both reports and forms. So I'll just let it go, and there we go. Like I said, really nothing new there, but the gallery itself is new, instead of having a collection of buttons or the toolbox toolbars that we used to have. One more thing I did want to point out, though, for example, if I were creating labels, is that for some of our control types, we can right-click and choose to drop multiple controls. That means that this tool will stay enabled as I create multiple instances of it. So I could click once, type a title, press Enter to set it, and then simply click again without having to move back up and select the tool again. That will save me a lot of time. I'll press Escape to get out of that menu. And in closing, I'll say that this may not be the most advanced or exciting enhancement, but the Data Type Gallery does bring Access closer to aligning with the rest of Office. In doing so, it provides us a comfortable, familiar way to work with form and report controls, which is really one of the goals of everything. We use an Office suite like Microsoft Office so that we don't have to go through a different skill set for each application. And this is one more way to ensure that we have that consistent experience across applications.